Windows 10 has finally hit the RTM stage, or at least as RTM as it gets for an operating system that's now updated as a service. Nearly 75,000 of you watched the last video on Windows 10 and I've had literally hundreds of questions. So this is a bit of a Q&A. Want to find out what's what about the latest version of Windows 10? Stay tuned. So as I mentioned, since the last video, over 75,000 views as of recording this, which is just absolutely spectacular. And I know hundreds of you have jumped on board since watching that video, so thanks very much to all of you, and I hope you stick around. I've had so many questions that have come in over the course of having this video out there that I just thought it would be good to do a bit of an update video, just to kind of answer these questions so everybody sees it really, and just to sort of belay some of the fears that people are having about Windows 10. And also I am now currently running the RTM version both on this Surface 3 and on PC as well. I've even installed it on the phone, although that's another matter for another day. But basically the phone version is getting better, but it's kind of a little bit ropey at the moment, but that's by the by. That's not what we're here to do. So anyway, let's have a look at some questions from you, the viewers. The first one is asked by a Damien Moores. So could I safely install this now and properly play all my games? I want to install it, but I'm quite insecure about it. That's a good question. As of this video going out, we're literally within weeks, possibly days of it actually going out to consumers. So I would just wait for the final version. But what I would say generally about anything that is like preview or beta is if you're not sure about it, or you have to ask the question, should I install this, then the answer is unfortunately no, just don't touch it. And let's have a look at some other questions now. What have we got here? Upgrading to Windows 10, will games have compatibility errors because you're a hardcore gamer? This is from Dmox. I'm going to do that thing where I keep all my files. Will they have any errors? That's a good question as well. In terms of backwards compatibility with games, especially older games of course, what you should generally find is that anything that ran under Windows 7 or 8 should run under Windows 10 as well. There isn't a great deal of change in terms of the underlying APIs and things like that. What you will find, of course, is anything that is old school, especially things like DOS games, 16-bit games, things from the Windows 90X era. That stuff's not going to work, but that wasn't going to work anyway. At least not with some jiggery pokery or using a virtual machine and things like that. So generally speaking, you're not going to see any difference between Windows 8, 7 and Windows 10 in terms of what you can and can't run. Of course, I would obviously just double check before you do the upgrade, but I don't think you're going to have any problems. A lot of people were asking what the wallpaper was in the video that I ran last time, which is actually an Elder Scrolls wallpaper. And someone very kindly linked in the comments. I think I posted it up on my OneDrive as well, but I'm just going to leave a link on the screen here. So anyone who is interested in that wallpaper, go and download it. Unworld asks, do I have a head like f***ing orange because I sound like Carl Pilkington? This is true. He comes from Stockport. I come from Manchester, which is essentially Stockport. So yes, I do sound like Carl Pilkington. Do I have a head like a f***ing orange? Well, sort of. I have a goatee and don't think oranges have those, but otherwise, yes, I guess so. Oregon Green asks, do you need an Xbox One to be able to take advantage of the Xbox app? And that is a good question. I think it leads to a lot of confusion, the Xbox app, because it's named Xbox. The fact is that you don't need an Xbox One to use it, and all of the general features that are there can be used. What you do need an Xbox One for is obviously the Xbox One game streaming feature, which will be coming to the console and to Windows 10, which basically means that you can stream your Xbox One games to your PC. Obviously you'll need an Xbox One for that, but in terms of actually using it, keeping track of gamer score and things like that, no, you don't need to have an Xbox One for that, and it will tie into some games as well, like Windows, what was it called? Windows Live, Windows for games for Windows. I'm not really sure. It does seem to pick up some of the games I play, like it knows I've played recent games like GTA for PC and stuff like that. If you've not got an Xbox, it's probably not going to be great use to you, the Xbox app, but yeah, you can still use it. So Critic Games asks, is it better to just install a fresh copy or to do an in-place upgrade? The question is a bit of a, well, it's a good question, but it's a bit of an odd one to answer because at the moment we're not sure how, if at all, you're going to be able to do a fresh install. You will be able to do a fresh install one way or another, but in terms of like how complicated that will be to do, we're not too sure. I think the best thing to do is to do an in-place upgrade. There's no reason not to. And if you find that once you've done the in-place upgrade that you're having issues, then it may be worth doing a completely fresh install. It's possibly expected that Microsoft will release ISO files for you to download so you can burn to a CD, and then you'll be able to do a fresh install like you can any other copy of Windows. And you should be able to get a product key based on your Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 product key, which you can then use to activate it. And the other way you could do it is after installing it is you can do something called a system refresh from the control panel, which is essentially like doing a fresh install on Windows, but it keeps all your documents in place and stuff like that. So that's another option or route you can go down. So yeah, there's a couple of ways of doing it, but I'm not entirely sure what the best is. I would say go for an upgrade first, and then if you're having problems, look at either doing the system refresh or downloading the ISOs from Microsoft, which we expect they will release. So a lot of you mentioned that the tick box feature that I showed off in the last video was actually introduced in Windows 7. Or it might even go back to XP, I don't know, and it wasn't new to Windows 10 at all. And yes, you are very correct at that. I don't know what I was thinking, I humbly apologise. But the amount of flack that I got in the comments for that was quite funny. But yeah, it was just something I'd noticed then, and I hadn't noticed it before. Well, I guess that's because I'd never used it, so that just goes to show how pointless of a feature it possibly is. I have no idea. It's good for people with tablets and touch though, which I'm finding on the surface, so one of them things. I apologise. So Brian Ward asks, I'm getting ready to reinstall Windows on my machine. Should I make the leap to Windows 10 now or just install Windows 7 and wait for the full release? Again, that's probably a little bit irrelevant now because within weeks of this video going out, the final version will be out anyway. But in order to qualify for the free upgrade, you are going to have Windows 7 already installed on your machine and activated. So now the preview program has closed, you can't just go straight for the preview program. So I'm guessing you are going to have to install Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 first, and then qualify for your free upgrade to Windows 10, unless you go straight to buying Windows 10 OEM. But if you have a copy of Windows 7 or 8.1 lying around, there's no point in going out buying a retail copy, waste of money. So I would install Windows 7 first and just do the in-place upgrade. It's probably the quickest and easiest way of going about things. Is Windows 10 faster than Windows 8 and 8.1? Asks Will Holden, and that's a good question. I did my comparisons with Windows 7 because Windows 8 and 8.1 already had massive performance improvements over Windows 7. I think the performance improvements are pretty much on par or round about what Windows 8.1 brought. Windows 8.1 actually brought a lot in terms of performance to Windows. It was then able to run on just 1 gig of RAM, and it actually was a lot faster. Whether there's a lot of difference between 8.1 and 10, I guess I would have to do some experimentation to find that out. I'm guessing it's not going to be that big of a leap between 8.1 and 10 as it is between 7 and 10, but it runs really fast, the RTM that I'm currently using, and I do say RTM because I understand, there's a question mark over the use of the word RTM now, but the version I'm using, which is pretty much what we're going to see when it comes out on July 29th, is really fast and responsive, and it's definitely not taken a backward step. It's definitely going in the right direction. So yeah, I would say probably quicker or around the same as Windows 8.1. So Matt Barron asks that if you have Origin or Steam installed, do you get to keep all that stuff, or do you have to reinstall it all when you move over to Windows 10? That's a good question, and quite a few people have been wondering about what they get to keep and what they don't get to keep when you do the Windows 10 upgrade. And to be honest, you get to keep everything. You don't have to reinstall Steam, Origin, you don't have to install World of Warcraft or anything like that. You get to keep everything during the upgrade. It's an in-place upgrade. It's a bit like doing a big Windows update, basically. So you shouldn't actually lose anything. As always, I would sort of put some precautions on this, though. I mean, strange things can and do happen to, very few people, but, you should probably take precautions, do a full backup of your stuff, or anything that's important, at least, that you can't get back down from the cloud. So, back up all your game saves, back up all your documents, personal files, and things of that nature, at a minimum before you, consider doing the upgrade to Windows 10. But I think 90% of you are not going to have any kind of problem at all. I think it's only going to be the odd ones, but it's such a massive undertaking that you know, there are going to be the odd problems, and that's why it's probably good to be on the safe side, just do a backup. Sandy Nichols Barrett asks, my husband is 79 and I'm 69. We did not play games online. Does Windows 10 have any game that you can download to play offline like Windows XP had? He loves to play games offline, but he won't go online for anything. If you've not thought about this, please do. It would help him get others who are not ever going to go online to use the computer. That's actually an interesting question. It's not one that my usual demographic would normally ask, so that's why I've picked it out here. Just to explain exactly how games on Windows 10 work, is you don't have to be online to play any games that you download from the store. So I know a lot of you are going to go crazy when I mention this, but things like Candy Crush, or Sonic Dash, or any of the games that you can download. It even comes with like Solitaire and things like that. You can download the Solitaire pack from the Windows Store. Any of those games, once you've downloaded them, you don't need to be online to play them, but you do need to go online in order to be able to access the store and download the games. Games on retail media such as CDs and stuff that you've traditionally always had on the PC, they should still work just fine, but obviously they're kind of a dying breed now. You don't really get games on retail media anymore, so yeah, you can play games offline, but you're just going to need to go online first before you actually are able to play them. So Domo Hero 11 asks, I have 4 GB of RAM and I'm afraid to install it because I have a shitty amount of RAM. 4 gigs is not that bad actually, to be honest, bud. I mean, depends what you're doing. I mean, for gaming, people tend to have like 8 and 16 gigs of RAM, but you shouldn't be doing too badly for 4 gigs. Windows 10 is going to run absolutely fine on 4 gigs of RAM. In fact, as I was saying earlier, Windows 8.1 brought Windows to the point where it would run comfortably on a 1 gig of RAM. So yeah, you'll be absolutely fine on 2, 3, 4 gigs of RAM. No problems at all. TSU Jack asks, how can you remove the extra Metro space from the start menu if you've got everything unpinned? Well, what you can do is, once you're actually into the start menu, you can just click and drag to resize the start menu up and down, left and right. So you can actually, if you don't like all that Metro-y type stuff, you can unpin all of your Metro tiles and just bang the start menu down into a single column. Or if you really don't like the size of the tiles, you can turn them into like tiny normal icon sized, and they will then just sit there as like quick launches. And that doesn't just go for like Universal or Metro apps, that goes for any kind of program that you've got installed, Win32 apps, everything. So you don't have to touch the Universal app side of things if you're really averse to it, because I know some people are like really throwing their toys out of the pram about having to use a new API for programs, but yeah, it's up to you. You do it however you want, but yeah, you can just click and drag and you resize the start menu to be whatever size you want it to be. Bobby Vincent asks, can you play Xbox games on Windows 10 PC? That's going a little bit back to what I was mentioning before about Xbox streaming from the Xbox One. So the short answer is no, but the long answer is you can stream them from your Xbox One console if you have them, once the appropriate updates are available generally. And that means you'll be able to stream Xbox One, and now because Xbox One is getting the ability to emulate some Xbox 360 games, you'll be able to stream those games to your PC as well. But it's not going to run any Xbox games natively, no, unfortunately not. So Tonton asks that he's worried that if he upgrades from Windows 9.1 to Windows 10 when it comes out, that Steam will get stuck or he'll lose everything, and he's just wondering whether he should wait a couple of months to download Windows 10 and just to get some reviews and see if it's actually really worth it. And yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's probably no immediate reason to upgrade to Windows 10 on day one unless you have a really pressing need to. I'm the kind of guy who would do that because I like to have everything straight away. In fact, I've already upgraded to Windows 10 through the partner program, and therefore I'm currently running it. But if you're just not really interested in it, you're not really an enthusiast or anything like that, and you're just using it as a day-to-day gaming machine, then yeah, hang fire for maybe a month, maybe 2. Don't forget, you've got a full year to take advantage of the free offer, so there's no rushing into this. Just wait and see if any other people are having problems, find out what problems they're having and if they affect you and the hardware and software you've got, and just do a little bit of research and just take your time with it. Yeah, there's no reason not to. So Jeffrey Delay asks that his desktop computer is running Windows 7 and it's always lagging out on him now. Will Windows 10 solve some of these problems, or is it just the computer? He's just wondering that if it's the computer itself, that he might just consider upgrading it before getting Windows 10, but he wants to know if Windows 10 is going to be any faster so he doesn't have to waste any money. That's a good question, and performance on Windows 10 is something I've been hammering on about. It's going to depend on the machine really and the specifications you've got, and it could be just running slow because of crap that's been stuck on there over the years. I've seen many a computer that's been bundled down with spyware and malware and all sorts of crap that just slows it right down. So you could find that the Windows 10 upgrade just gives it a breath of fresh air anyway. It will perform better than Windows 7 did. There are inherent improvements in terms of performance, memory management, all this stuff. So yeah, you'll find it's faster, but the question is if your computer's that old that you're really struggling as it is at the moment and it's really bad, then are the improvements going to be worth it? Again, it depends on your system specs and your setup and stuff like that. I would say it's probably worth waiting for Windows 10 to come out, give it an install, see if it makes any difference, but I would be prepared for the fact that if your computer's knackered, then you're going to have to get a new computer, unfortunately. So Leo asks, is Windows 10 free, and is it any different if you buy the retail version? Good question, because that is a little bit confusing. Yes, it's completely free for anyone running Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 for the first year after it releases. Now, just to clarify, that means the first year you are able to take advantage of the upgrade, and if you do take advantage of it, then you will get that copy of Windows 10 for free for the lifetime of the device, which to me basically means once you throw that device in the bin, then obviously you have to get a new version of Windows 10, but more than likely the replacement that you buy is going to have Windows 10 come with it anyway. In terms of the difference between the version that you get through upgrade and the retail copy, there isn't going to be a difference. What will matter is when you're upgrading from whatever version you're on now. So say for example you're on Windows 10 Home or Windows 7 Home or Windows 7 Starter, then the version you upgrade to will be the equivalent. So you will either go on to Windows 10 Core, or if you're on Windows 7 Pro or Windows 8.1 Pro, you'll go to Windows 10 Pro. So the only difference is if you wanted to upgrade to Pro, you would have to pay for that upgrade, but most people don't really need the Pro features. There's nothing really in Pro that's useful for gamers. So yeah, generally speaking, it's free and there's not going to be any difference between the two. Glowpipe asks, is it possible to remove the Xbox app and all the so-called crap on the system, and he wants to hard delete them. He doesn't want so-called clutter on his computer because he already had a small SSD drive. Yeah, all you have to do is right click on the app and just uninstall it, and for most apps they will just disappear completely. There are one or two that are built into Windows which you can get rid of, but you can just unpin them and get them out of the way, but those are really tiny and they're just part of the core OS itself. So yeah, generally speaking, just right click and just uninstall it. That's as simple as that to uninstall a program in Windows 10, so you shouldn't have any problems there. A lot of people have been asking, including Louis Vijar, how did I get the games pinned onto the start menu with the nice wide tiles? That's actually quite easy to do. If you go into the Windows Store, you'll find an app called Pin More. Just download that and type it into your Steam account, and that will bring back all of your Steam games, and you'll be able to pin them to your start menu just like you can with any other kind of tile, and you will get nice pretty looking wide tiles for your games. I've currently got that working on Windows 10 myself, so if I show you the start menu here on Windows 10, you can see this is the final RTM version, and as you can see there, that's my start menu, and you can see the games that I've got pinned on with Pinmore. So it is still working in the final version of Windows 10. It's kind of buggy now because it was an app designed for Windows 8.1, so you do have to kind of bear with it a little bit, but yeah, it works. So yeah, you can do that. Basax7045 says, from what I heard, Windows 10 is incompatible with Steam, so it's a big no-no. Obvious troll is obvious, but no, Steam works just fine in Windows 10 and does anything that ever ran in Windows 7 and Windows 8.1. So wherever you heard that particular rumour, I have no idea, but it's absolutely fine. No worries. Jackie Hallavine asks, have you noticed any games that don't run on Windows 10 that did run on Windows 8 or Windows 7? They do want the free upgrade to Windows 10, but they don't want it at the cost of playability of any of their games. No, I've not noticed any games that didn't work on Windows 10. Everything seems to be working fine. The only one thing that I did find was with Half-Life 2 on the Surface 3. When I first ran the game, it was glitching out. The graphics looked a bit funny. The easiest way of fixing that was simply to go into the Xbox app and turn off Microsoft's new screen recording feature that they'd stuck into Windows. And as soon as I turned that off, everything went back to normal. Well, that was actually in an earlier build of Windows 10, and in the more recent ones, it's actually gone away. So, yeah, there may be problems with drivers and things at first, which are slowly getting fixed out. But I'm guessing by July 29th, they're going to be pretty much done and dusted. And yeah, no problems really at all. No, none at all. So Max Chrome Studios asks, will he need to activate Windows 10? He's in the beta review, that's my series. No, he's in the Windows Technical Preview, which quite a few people are involved in, including myself, and he wants to know whether that's going to activate into the final version or whether he's going to have to reinstall again from scratch or go back to Windows 7 then back to Windows 10. Good news for you, my friend. Anyone who is in the Windows Technical Preview is just going to get upgraded straight into the final version of Windows 10 RTM. In fact, you'll probably find you're already on it. I am. It's been rolled out to fast and slow ring members now. And you'll find if you go into the start, type run, put in WinVer, WINVER, you should find there that you've got a fully activated copy of Windows 10. So congratulations. And in fact, if you are one of the people who were in the technical preview, a little bonus for you, because not only do you get upgraded to the final RTM release version fully activated, but if you were someone who was running on Windows 8 Core or Windows 7 Home, you're actually now upgraded to the Pro version completely for free. So thanks very much for watching this video. That's pretty much all of the relevant questions I can find from today, just filtering through all of the lovely comments that people have left me. Some people have left really nice comments saying how they really like the video and how they really like the channel and stuff like that. So thanks very much to those guys. To the people who were basically saying that I swear too much, or that I'm a idiot, or that I have a brain soaked full of things of that nature, I am very sorry that you are easily offended and or you don't like my content, but I'm not too bothered about that. It's all fun to read. Yeah, thanks very much for watching. I did swear a little bit too much in this video, actually, to come to think of it, which I didn't really think I did in the last video, so I'm guessing the people who were upset with the swearing in the last video are going to be really upset by this one, but maybe I'll censor it. I don't know. I'll decide later. Thanks very much for watching. As always, like if you liked, dislike if you disliked, leave a comment in the comment box below. Let me know what you thought, and let me know if you're interested in any more Windows 10 updates, especially for the phone, because this is obviously still ongoing. As I say, it's a little bit buggy at the moment, but we'll be looking at that at a future date, I'm guessing, if you really want to. And thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care, and ta-da!